Hello, everyone. This is another episode of the One Hope podcast here at the New Hope Baptist Church of Memphis, where we are under the direction of Pastor Robert J. Matthews. And today's guest, he's a doctor, I guess. He's a therapist. He helps people, and he spoke a great word to us today. And without further ado, everybody, I introduce you to Dr. Charles Winton.
Good to be here with you, sir.
I'm not feeling this jacket, bro.
It's be okay. That's what tell me to take my jacket off.
Y'all know.
This Capelan.
Hey,
so.
No, you in Alpha World, okay?
No, I'm just telling you.
All right.
Okay, then you want to move on?
All right, yeah.
All right, okay,
we'll speed past that.
Okay.
So I just want you to give people out there on the other side watching us a snippet of what today's message was about, because you tried to say that you weren't gonna preach, but you literally preached.
I didn't want to. It's just when you step into New Hope, it was just a whole aroma of preaching, and now I'm hoarse. Yeah. But the whole sermon was about opening the doors for men to emotionally connect. You know, It's hard for us as men, as brothers, to really connect and show our emotions. Mm-hmm. So the entire sermon, teaching, preaching was about getting men to open up and, dismissing the stereotypical view of what we imagine men to be. And that is these hard, crusty, dominant, powerful, and that's good.
Why they gotta be crusty?
Yeah, I know, because that's how it is. But we got a soft side,
right?
And that is that emotional side. And so I'm just awakening that side, because when you don't live fully, you're not living. So if you're just going to show one side and deny the other, that means that part of you is starving.
Right. Do you think that causes many things that we see in society, as far as people acting out, the violence we see, especially in the city of Memphis? Even in our schools, amongst kids and young boys and teenagers and things of that nature?
Of course. As I mentioned in service, that working in the prison, it afforded me the opportunity to work with a lot of different backgrounds, even females. But a great deal of my work was with guys, 18-year-old guys, Latino guys, older guys, black guys, Latino, all Chinese.
Yeah.
So what I've seen as a common theme is guys need love.
Right.
And so when you say, do I see it acting out in our streets? When you look at the news, you may see violence. When I look at the news, I see hurting. And not having an avenue on how to communicate that hurt. So people use a lot of different methods. You probably don't use gang and violence, but somebody may use drinking, somebody may use weed, they use violence. But we all trying to beg and need help for something.
He said, for the people that didn't hear him in the back, he said, when you look at the news, you may see violence and turmoil, but he sees people who are hurting. All right, tell us about how you got into this field, like as far as getting on your career path and even getting to this point. Like, how did you start? Tell us where Charles Winton started, where he went to school, what led him to do this, what personal stuff or battles, or what inspired him to get into this field or this industry?
Well, I come from a single parent home, so raised in the hood. My mom was single with 3 kids and working about 4 or 5 jobs to get us the best things in life. And so I seen that. And so all of my friends were either drugs or gangs. And my mom made sure I went to church. And so my career started with I worked in a prison. So I wanted to show other guys that just because what you have around you, there are other options. So I started my career working in prison for that reason. I wanted to give them other options, because if you talk to young guys, well, I had no options. My dad wasn't in my life, or my mom wasn't in my life, and there are options. And so I wanted to show them as an example, I'm from the same place.
Right.
But yet I went to school, I stayed in church, and I tried to do the right thing. Not perfect, but just tried to do the right thing.
Right.
So after doing that for so long, I figured most of my work was at the end getting people to repair their life at the end.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I want to do something at the front end. So I went back to school and got my master's in marriage and family therapy. And I figured people were coming from broken homes, broken marriages, and broken homes. So why don't I try and do that? Work on marriages, work on families, and then before they even get incarcerated, that we start building that healthy system.
Okay.
So that's what my whole purpose was in getting into marriage and family therapy.
Wow. So like, let me ask you this. What could you tell somebody who is, I would say, who is out there searching for the missing part of themselves? Where could they begin? Because a lot of times I think it's when you hear stories and testimonies, I think you probably, I would say you will probably hear, correct me if I'm wrong, that people don't even know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 25, 45, 55, even older, they don't even know who they are.
Right.
So what would you give advice, or what would be the advice that you would give to somebody just to help them on their journey? A lot of the times, I think from my opinion and just me observing, I think a lot of people struggle with their self-identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's first off of who you are and what you were born into, the family you were born into, but also your identity in Christ and your spirituality, but more so who you are as an individual once you go out into the real world and live life for yourself. What advice do you give to a person like that in those phases of life?
Well, usually I try to start off, we all have an inner child, Brother Zach. So we have an inner child that lives with us. I don't care if we 40, 50, 60 years old, we all have that inner child.
My inner child loud.
Your inner child be talking sometimes and you want to shut up. You know what I'm talking about? Shut up. And I'm sure we know which one the Zach's is talking, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people are not fortunate to realize that. So first of all, what I try to do in therapy is try to bring people in touch with their inner child. That inner child, Zach, is that little Zach. If you go back to what did Zach originally intend for his life? He had dreamed of being, a fireman. He dreamed of being a teacher, and he was so innocent. And then life happened. And so when life happened, then we disconnected from that part of us. So then we start living this life and taking us farther away from that person. Either divorce, broken relationship, trauma. Those things have taken us away from our original self. So one of the things that finding your identity is first going back to little Zach, going back to little Charles and talking to him. What is it that we want to do? You know, we always wanted to go to school. We always wanted to do this, but I got caught up in raising kids. I got caught up in a relationship. I got caught up in this, that we got away from that. So part of therapy is, especially for individuals trying to find their identity, trying to find their way. First of all, we got to go back to that person, and we got to talk to them and sit down. And I know it sounds weird because you're looking at me like, "What is this man talking about?"
I'm processing it because like that's a. I've heard that before, and I've heard different like perspectives and like explanations of it, but I think many people don't really process and sit with that and say, well, what was my original intent and who do I want to be? So like to hear that is kind of like mind-boggling because I think right now it's like, what was that like when he was a kid? Yeah, because like now that you're older, you could probably look back on your childhood and see it from a different perspective of the things you went through and speak from another point of view,
right?
Versus when you were a child and you were actually living it, you were inside that story.
And I think
telling the story,
going back to that person and really just sitting with him, and he'll lead you. It's not the therapist that gives you all your answers. Part of my job as a therapist is to connect you with him or with her, connect you with that, and then they'll give you the answers. Zach, we know the answer. We know we want to do. We know what we want to do. We know this relationship is not working with us. We know this job is not working for us. We just can't make that move. So you don't come to the therapist to give you the answer. People, Charles, give me the answer. It's not for me to give you the answer. My job is to move all the cloudiness out the way so you can touch that person and they'll tell you, Zach, we wanted to go back to school. We always wanted to open a business. This is not healthy. She's cheating on you. He's cheating on you. This is not how we was raised. And then once you touch that, They come back to my office. Mr. Charles, thank you. I left that abusive for telling me to leave that abusive relationship. I never told you to leave it. You just got in touch with that part of you. And that part of you said, we're bigger than this. We're stronger than this. We're smarter than this. We got more values. Don't carry yourself like this. And then you make the action. So it's about returning to that part of you to get all the answers you need for the direction in your life.
Wow. That's deep. So with all of that and processing all of that and talking about all of that, where does God come in? Like, where does the part of the therapy? Because it's okay. I heard Dr. E. Dewey Smith from House of Hope Atlanta. He said, he was talking about and giving his testimony about how he lost his like family members back to back,
Okay.
like in following weeks. I don't know if you've heard this.
I heard it.
And he said that people asked him when he coming to preach, and he's like, "Nah, when you gonna preach?" And then he said he had to work through it. He had to not only have Jesus, but he had to also go get a therapist.
Right.
So for people that's just so spiritual and holy, and I don't say that to be insulting. Yes, there is a time and a place to lean and rely upon your faith. But when do you make that decision to cross that threshold and say, hey, I need to go talk to somebody. I need to get some help. Because I believe God created therapists too. Just like he created doctors and medicine. Just like he created chefs and food and entertainment as far as football and sports and all of those things like that, of that nature. So when does Jesus come into the play as far as therapy and spirituality with your clients or in your life?
I always ask that, and not necessarily is it a line. I want to make sure I make that clear. Is Jesus and therapy? So I think both go
Jesus first or therapy first?
Now I'm gonna say Jesus first.
Okay, good answer. Good answer,
Jesus,
people.
Jesus plus therapy, like you said. If I was sick and I got this illness, I'm gonna pray and I'm like, Lord, and then I'm gonna go to the doctor. But I want to, first of all, it's a foundation. We're building a foundation, and this foundation is first Christ. You know what I mean? And I tell people who come to therapy, hey, you need a higher power, because some of the things that you go through and some of the things that we witness is kind of bigger than us. So we got to hold on to something bigger than us, because we as humans, we get weak and we get frail. I was talking to a young lady who had breast cancer, and then after she made it through that battle, she got breast cancer in the other breast. And she was like, oh my gosh. And she said, Charles, there was sometimes I just could not get out the bed. But it was my faith that said, come on, you got to get up. She said the pain was literally so bad that I said, just take me. Just take me. But she said, my faith said, you got to push. So it's that little bit of faith that I believe that let her go to chemo. So she had Jesus that pushed her, I got you. And then the doctor did the medicine part. So both of them, because when we're weak, we need something stronger than ourselves, and that faith and that rock is Jesus.
Wow. So what do you say to somebody who is young, who has been manipulated, whether it's emotionally, mentally, spiritually, sexually, who has went through many trials and tribulations and pain? What do you say to somebody who knows who God is, but finds himself saying, why do I find myself in this place, or why did you let this happen to me? From a clinical standpoint, what do you say to a person like that? Because many times with my generation, that's what we're finding. Like, a lot of people are dealing with that. I don't know if you're seeing it in your office. Those kind of people are coming through.
There's a lot.
And it's like faith in Memphis seems like it's at an all-time low right now. The church attendance is very low right now. Communities are really taking matters into their own hands as far as like more self-preservation than more so community. In the word community, you have unity. So there really is not any unity. It's really dysfunction, and everybody's moving on their own tempo and speed. So like, what do you say to a generation that's needing that call? Me and you talked about a conference that I was thinking about called Emerge.
What happened to that?
It's still coming. We'll talk about it off camera.
You want to talk about it? Okay, then.
I'm just painting the context. Like, what do you say to like get people on their feet and to come. Like you talked about the lady with cancer and chemo, and what do you say to get a person's spirit man or spirit woman to like wake up, like
so
with
first
all those things going on?
First, what allows me as a Christian therapist is we can have those real conversations, and that's kind of why I like coming to churches and New Hope and all the different churches I've gone to, is because in my therapy, to answer that question, I want you to get angry at God. And the number one thing I tell clients is God can handle your anger. And it's like, you want me to get angry at God? I was always taught, no, I'm like, no.
It's a difference between cursing God and being angry.
Exactly.
With God. That's a part of a relationship. Relationship allow you to feel emotions.
There you go.
Yeah,
and that's why
I'm paying attention.
That's what I'm talking about. You just put that together. So
yes,
you
sir.
do listen.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Sir.
Good.
Yes, sir, I do listen. I heard you.
So you want to just walk? Okay,
right.
Okay, yeah. That's good. Good. That's good a point.
Right.
So and bringing that emotion, because really it opens up their eyes. Like, are you serious? And then what I do is I get what we call in therapy an empty chair. And I put that chair in front of that young person or that person that's hurt and feel like God has forgotten and just gone away from church. Tell God what you want. You didn't save my daughter. I prayed and I got cancer again. Or I prayed and my husband still left. I prayed. And then I do this strange thing. I said, now get in the empty chair and you be God. And I said, God, you heard his anger. You heard her anger. What do you have to say? And they just flow with it. But I still love you. I still love you. And then to hear God say,
you're going to have people crying.
I still love you. I didn't say it. It's for them to hear those words. I've been holding it, and once I got it out, I got this relation out, and I still love you. And then I come back to this seat. You've been away from God. What did this sound like? I didn't know he still loved me. I thought I was so far. I didn't say it. They had a conversation with God, so I had to take them to that conversation. I had to take them to that real spot. And you hear from God yourself. And once they get it, you won them. Because they've heard you say it. They heard their mom say it. But I heard from God myself say that I love you. And that's what I needed. It changed my whole life.
The true definition of trading place.
That's true definition. But they never felt that they can sit in the seat. And I don't know what God would say. What do you think God would say? I think he would say.
Let's clarify, because I don't want nobody to take a clip of this and it go viral. That Dr. Charles Winton is promoting blasphemy, or he's saying sit in the chair and you are God. That's not what you're saying. What you're saying is put yourself in their shoes and minister to yourself. Because what scripture is that? Is that day where he said he found confidence in the Lord and he felt he had to encourage himself. So it's like you're basically putting him in a different position to say, hey, you gotta encourage yourself.
And then it's awakening what you already know. But once you sit, like if you sit in your dad's seat, you see things different. When you sit in the boss seat, when you sit in the captain seat, you see it from another view. But if you sit on this side, go switch seats.
Now, how does it work if you got somebody who is very, because I know you probably dealt with somebody that's probably hard.
Of course.
Like that's been like, they can't show that compassion. So they probably not the best person to try to play like, or put themselves in the God's shoes, because they're very hard on themselves, or they're just very hard emotionally. So it's hard for them to even find compassion on themselves, let alone people. So like, what do you do for those kind of people?
And I probably wouldn't have used that model. And that's why being a therapist, is good to know there's different models that meet different people. One model is not going to work for everybody. So, and oftentimes, even with that hard person like that, once they sit in the seat, see, I know it sounds like that's just a seat, but in therapy, it changes your whole perspective. So on that side, you were hard negative. That's part of the reason why you use that, because now I'm lifting you out of yourself and you come over here to the seat how God sees you. And no one can deny. I don't care how you feel about yourself. I'm too this, I'm too ugly, I'm too skinny, I'm too white, I'm too black, I'm too fat, I'm too stupid, I'm too this. Once you sit over here, they change their whole perspective.
Right.
And then you keep going back and having that conversation because we're trying to fight that part out of you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That hardness.
Right.
And then until you come to the point that, oh, you see me different.
Right.
And then I leave you. Now you drive home. He see me different. Why am I putting myself down? That's what we want to do in therapy. We just want to leave it there. It may not come the first night in therapy, but the more you change in a mindset, and you didn't get here overnight. So if you look at therapy, look at it like this: a glass of dirt. If I go outside and put some dirt in the glass, then I've come and put a big can of water, bottle of water in it, and it doesn't overflow. It's mud. It's just, so that's the clear with the dirt, right? What I'm gonna have to do is, and this is how we've been trained with that negative thought when you said, I have to go outside and get a water hose. Now picture me putting the water hose in, turn the water hose on. Eventually what's gonna happen to that dirt? It's gonna come up, and then I'm gonna have clear water. That's what therapy is. It's not what we do one time. We're implanting, we're erasing, and we're removing all that negative, dirty talk that I'm no good, no one would ever want me, no one would ever love me. And so those are years and years of, so it's not gonna come overnight. And just because I went to therapy one time, it moved it, okay. But what we're gonna have to do is implant a water hose in there and turn it on. And what does that look like? I wake up every day, I am good enough. I go to lunch and I see the sticker on my mirror, I am good enough. I go home at nighttime, you are worth it. And then I got friends and resources. Hey, Jack, how you doing? Bro, I just want to call you and say you are good enough. Thank you. I got accountability, and it's overflowing like, oh my gosh. And then you get to that point where I don't need you no more. I got this. I am good enough.
Wow.
Boom.
Boom. I guess with that, I guess we can end there, because I'm not finna let y'all get all these gems and then not go see him and say this your therapy session. So you're gonna watch it back over and over and over again. I'm not gonna let you do that. So once again, everybody, this is Dr. Charles Winton. Tell everybody where they can follow you, social media, where they can find you if they want to reach out and try to get some sessions in.
Good. You can hit me up on my website at charleswinton.com, charleswinton.com, Facebook, Charles Winton, Instagram, C Winton. You can find me. You can contact me at 901-310-9761 and leave me a voicemail, and someone from the staff will get with you and make an appointment. I want to walk with you through your story. So call me. You don't have to do it alone.
Oh, Dr. Charles Winton, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, big snouts, clouts, everything, all of that. Well, this has been another episode of the One Hope Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation today. It was well needed. It helped me. It was very eye-opening. It allowed me to see some different things and different perspectives. I may just find myself in therapy, and if I can go to therapy, you can go to therapy, because there's nothing wrong with therapy. Because who you telling that it ain't something wrong with going to therapy? Everybody needs therapy.
Come on here.
All right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. I'm Zach Webb, and I'll see you around. Peace.